Good evening and welcome to the Iracing's new league, the Australian Endurance Series. This is the round one from Watkins Glen. The guys are out on track qualifying at the moment with just over 10 minutes left remaining in qualifying. We'll have a quick look at the track. Watkins Glen originally opened in 1956, one of the staple tracks for the American series, and is also hosting the Watkins Glen 6 Hour on Iracing, the official event this weekend. The track is 5.5 kilometres long and consists of 11 corners. And we have an IMSA endurance series. We have got all three classes out on track this evening: the GTP, the Dallara, the DPH, and as well as the GT series. Very tightly contested, I'm sure, with the drivers that are out there this evening. We're currently sitting with Matthew Shanahan, trying to improve on his time. He currently has not got one in the bank by the looks of that. I apologise, this is my first event on broadcasting and commentating at the same time for iRacing, so I'm getting my head around it. Guys, we do have the open chat, so if you do log on and join the stream, jump in and say g'day. Let us know who you are following, and if there's anything that you would like to see or hear, let us know. Let us know how the volumes are for the stream. I'm having a few issues with the audio on my end of it. I can see that my audio levels are bouncing backwards and forwards, but I actually can't hear anything myself, so I'm a bit deaf on that end of it. I do apologise for that, guys. We'll try and get that fixed for future streams. But at the moment with the GTPs, we've got Gordon McCulloch and Michael Ardlett. And the Class 2, the Dallara, we've got 8 cars at the moment in that group, with Tim Hancock chasing it down over Scott Mackay. There's not much between those two cars at the moment, only 1/10 of a second. And for the GT3 clearers, it's going to be very tightly contested, I'm sure, with Sam at the top, as we would have expected, but only 1/8 of a second is James Lawrence sitting in second, and Matthew Shanahan there. We're looking at the moment in the VGA Ferrari coming through. He's sitting in third position at the moment in class. And the Australian Endurance Series follows the IMSA Series. They are a full 3-class series. They're running on Tuesday nights. There will be a 20-minute practice followed by a 2-hour race, and there is expected change in the weather this evening. Would advise that there will be light showers, so there will be mandatory pit stops for at least the change of tyres. The GT3s may be able to scrape through on one fuel stop, but the GTPs and DPH will definitely have to be a 3-stopper for sure, if not an additional 4 for tyres. So it is going to be a little bit of a strategy game, and being a 2-hour race, it means that you do have a little bit of time to make up any indiscretions. If you have an unfortunate event in the early part of the race, there is still time to regain a few positions and get some points back on the board. Let's take a look at some of the other cars. We just see Matthew get a little bit sideways there. Come back into Brendan McIver. He's also in a Ferrari. Another beautiful looking livery there, the number 11. And as the guys come down with 6.5 minutes to go in qualifying, we'll take you for a quick look around the liveries that we've got on track. Now, John Filligan's just coming through in the Dallara. Another one of the VGA liveries, obviously very heavily supported the VGA, the Veterans Gaming Australia, in this league. There's Damien Mackay sitting 4th in the class at the moment in the number 923 Chevrolet. That's the new Corvette. Everyone looking to see whether there is going to be a BOP improvement for the new Corvette and the new Ford. Both of them are a little bit sluggish on top end speed, but I'm sure that will all get sorted out throughout the season. And the guys have been hard at work getting these liveries together. We've seen Matthew Shanahan. Let's see who we got. John McKinney. John running around in the Dallara, or the DHP. Now the number 117, another fantastic livery. And for anyone who's not sure with the IMSA vehicles, the Dallara is a slightly smaller version of the GTP. They're a little narrower in width. They're slightly shorter in length, a little shorter wheelbase. A little bit more nimble. They lack a little bit of top speed, but they can be quite competitive in the wet, as we've seen around Sebring. They're actually the fastest car on track in the wet at Sebring. Looks like John's headed into the pits. And David Unger, he's in the number 54 Dallara. Famous livery, that one. And the famous livery on the Porsche is the number 12 Porsche, driven by James Lawrence, currently second in class, the Green Monster. Let's see if we can see Tim Hancock. What's Tim parked up in pits at the moment? Scott McCoy in the other VGA livery. It's Gordon, is he on track? There's Cashy, John Cashin, running around in the number 16 Dallara. Had a fantastic drive on the weekend. The guys managed a P3 for the VGA team. VGA team green in the Dallara. Cashy, a little love tap with the wall there, just testing out the barriers, making sure everything's okay. Big hands up and thumbs up to the stewards, everything's fine in that corner. Here's the Audi Ford out on track. The number 66 for Matt. Very clean looking outlay there. I had a quick drive of the Ford yesterday and found it very, very difficult to see a very much letterbox windscreen on these cars, but the spoiler and the front scoop actually sticks up enough you can't quite see the front of the car. It's very difficult to get your line of lengths into the apex and out of the corners. It's going to be a very, very nice car once you get used to it. Drives a little bit like the AMG. Fantastic rear wheel car, sounds fantastic also. I hope you guys can hear it. Again, I'm still having some audio issues. Very lovely drift out the back there. Very keen to see how the Ford and the Chevrolet go this season. Hopefully the BOPs does come back to those cars and makes them a little more competitive than what everyone's been saying they are. Looking across the board, we've got the Ferrari from Sam. Obviously, Sam just outstandingly pace in anything that he drives. And then James Lawrence on the Porsche for the GT3 class. It's a good spread of cars in there. A couple of Porsches, the Corvette and the Ford. It's good to see it's not just a full field of Ferraris. Good to see the Dallara is a fixed car. Everyone, this is open setup for these drivers. There is no control over the setup that they use. But some of these guys will be keen to try and find some extra pace out of these cars. They have been saying that Watkins Glen is slightly slower this year, and it could be something related to the weather that has been introduced to the tracks. It could be causing... it's been quite a comment across most of the tracks on iRacing that the tracks are a little bit slower this year than they were last year. At least that's my excuse, I'm slower. That's my excuse, I'm using it. So qualifying is basically come to an end. This is the last few guys coming around the track now. With the GTPs, Gordon McCulloch takes out pole position, and he'll be alongside Michael Arlitz in the number 65. And for the Dallaras, Tim Hancock and Scott Mackay on row 1. David Ongo and Samuel Lambert on row 2. Row 3, Matt Beattie and John Filligan. And row 4 will be John McHenry and John Cashin. And then there will be a quick break back to the GT3s. We've got Sam, as we expected, out front on row 1 with John Lawrence alongside. Matthew Shanahan and David Mackay on row 2. Matt Matovic, I hope I got that right, Matt. Sorry about the pronunciation if I got it wrong. They'll be sitting on row 3. We've got Kalpesh Desai and Blake Norman on row 4, and Jared Eastman and Brendan McVigar on row 5. The guys will be just going through their setups at the moment, making sure that they have everything organised for the start of the race. Guys, if you are watching this stream, jump in chat and say g'day. We hope that you are enjoying it. We hope that the audio is all good. As the drivers go through their pit lane strategy, ensuring that they have all of their pit strategies in order, because we will be seeing rain during this event. Guys, if you are out there watching, jump in. We've just got someone in the chat. G'day, Justin. Hey, mate, we've got Just Xander here to support Blake. Mate, good on you. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're enjoying it. Guys, let me know what you think of the audio, because, again, my earmuffs are not working this evening. I am deaf to what's actually going on. I can see that my audio lollies are going up in my graphics, but I can't hear an absolute thing. But we take a few shots around this fantastic track that is Watkins Glen. Originally first opened in 1956, it is one of the staple events across the league. Now, I hope that this is not going to default me out, because it's saying that I can actually drive.
You feel like that's just something to get out of the way from holding you up.
A spectator, so I'm a little bit wary
of
that.
It's the first time.
Watkins Glen
is first time I'm doing 2 hours. First time I'm doing 2 hours, so it's going to be a tester.
11 turns, and we're currently slight overcast, and we will be having some light rain throughout this race. And everyone needs to take the option of starting on slicks. It was a little greasy. The guys were mentioning out there on practice, I think qualifying was dry, and the track looks very dry at the moment. We can just pop up to see what our weather is doing. Unfortunately, it's going to be sitting on top of my... So we're looking around about 1:40, so in about an hour's time, we will see a little bit of rain come through, 100% of light showers. So everyone will be planning on their first pit stop as a change of tyres for sure. We can see all the cars lined up across the track. Everyone clicking onto the grid. Got to love some of these liveries at the moment. The Deadpool livery for the Ferrari. And the VGA livery looks fantastic as well. The guys have done a great job in getting the liveries up for this year. We'll take you through taking a look at some of the liveries. And the portion there. The guys peel out for their warm-up lap behind the safety car. The ever staple safety car that is the most consistent car in iRacing. We'll feed our way down through. We've got Gordon McCulloch and Michael Artlett. Michael on the outside. Gordon in the 382, the red and black. And the white and grey car for Michael Artlett, number 65. And then across the front row, we've got the two VGA liveries of Tim Hancock and Scott Mackay. And then in row 2, David Unger and Samuel Lambert. And then Michael Beattie and John Filligan. And across the back row is John McHenry and John Cashin. So the cars will group up a little bit. They have to give themselves a gap between the classes for the start of the race. Roll back through. We've got Matthew Shanahan in the Ferrari. And you've got Sam and John across the front row. And then Matthew Shanahan and David Mackay in the Ford Audi livery. And Matty and Capelch across the back. Blake Norman, where we've got Jasander on here watching Blake. And Jared Eastman, Brendan McVicker and Joe Jocelyn riding out the back of the grid. We'll stay with the pace car now as we get up towards the exit of the hill. So coming up around through turns 9. Very difficult turn. It's very easy to lose the car through turn 9. It tightens up on you drastically. And as we can see the pace car there, the camber of the road runs to the outside. The car naturally wants to push right out onto the curb and up against the wall. And coming around through turn 10 is almost flat out. Well, it will be for the GTPs and Dellos. They will be flat out through there. The GT3s is a slight lift depending on the ability of your setup. And then hard on the brakes back into turn 11 for the pit entry and exit out onto the start-finish line. Pace car rolls away. And we are getting ready for the start of this race. We will be green light, go, go, go. We are racing on the first of the Aussie Endurance Series here at Watkins Glen. As we see Gordon just managing to hold the front there. Michael Artlett just happy to sit in behind. The guys coming up through the S's now, coming around onto the back straight. We'll stay with these guys for the first lap as we just watch what's happening behind. The GT3s are taken off as we come through now with the Dallas coming down onto the back straight into the inner loop. It looks like everyone is going to get through here successfully. We've got the GT3s also coming through. Everyone has managed to fail out into single file. And it's a great start to this race. And Tim Hancock looks like he is going to be quite comfortable out in the middle at the moment. Scott Mackay just tucking behind. That's the beautiful thing about endurance racing. There is no rush for the first lap. It's all about consistency. It's about being in the car at the front at the end of those 2 hours. The guys just fielding their way through at the moment. Samuel Lambert in the number 8 Dallara. We get to know these drivers as the first of the Australian Endurance Series. A lot of these are new drivers to me. I haven't driven with half of these boys. But great to see them all out on the track as we filter our way through. John Cashin just weighing up the odds here, getting himself familiar with the car. Looks like he must have had an issue. And we've got Blake Norman on his outlap from the pits. So maybe there was a little bit of contact between a couple of the cars. We missed that. So Blake running around in the number 71 Porsche. The car that just loves to hate you. I am definitely not a fan. Okay, unfortunately Blake had a disconnect. So Blake has had to reconnect. He's able to rejoin the lobby. That's great to see. He's sitting at the moment 40 seconds off the rears, but this is a 2-hour race. There is still plenty of time in this race. The guys are doing well all the way through the field. And Gordon now starting to get a little bit of a lead up over Michael Artlett for 2.7 seconds. And Tim Hancock looking quite comfortable at the moment over Scott Mackay. We can run back to John Philly. Looks like he's got a little bit of pressure on the back of him coming through from John McKenney. As I said, this is the first event in the Aussie Endurance Series. And unfortunately we have lost Sam as well. So we've lost Sam due to packet drop. So the leader of the GT3 class has been disconnected. So James Lawrence at the moment, fastest car in the GT3 with a 146.275. He currently sits 0.9 of a second in front of Matthew Shanahan in the Ferrari. So Porsche leading the GT3 class at the moment as we ride aboard with John Filligan. So let's jump aboard. Again, I do apologise for this, guys. This is me learning the cameras. What do we got? Cockpit. There we go. Jumping on board for a lap with John Filligan in the Dallara. Currently sitting in 6th in class. And he's hunting down Matt Beattie, the number 511 in front of him here at the moment, coming through the horseshoe. So the inner loop into the outer loop. Oh, a loose moment there for John. Just losing the rears, had to come right out of it and regain control of the car. A little bit of time lost there, but still putting the car forward. No serious damage. And there we go. That is a lap around Watkins Glen, looking through the front screen of the Dallara P217. Matt Beattie takes a move around the outside of Blake Norman. Blake obviously had the disconnection and had to reconnect. We've also had we've had Brad Cooper now connect. So we've got a little bit of an issue going on with connection for this lobby, but I'm sure that will all be sorted out for future events. And Matt Beattie in the black 511. And there will be some updates to some of these liveries as we move forward. I was all keen to have their own private liveries running on these cars. And your Lambert in number 8. Danny Mackay having a bit of moment here in the Chevrolet. He's got the Ford right up behind him. So currently 3rd and 4th in class. Coming around through the horseshoe, down to the outer loop. With Tim Hancock there for a second as he went around the outside of the Ferrari. But it's a great battle going on here. The two new cars for Iracing in the GT3 class. And you can see the two class leaders just up there, James Lawrence and Matt Shanahan, just in front of these two. This is the closest battle on track at the moment. There's only 4/10 between the two cars. Oh no, we've got Damien Mackay just losing the rear end. And again, we spoke about coming up into turn 9. Very difficult corner with the camber of the road drifting away from you.
Yeah, that's the most awkward place to catch someone there.
Bit of chat going on in game by the looks of that. As we see now, the GTPs and Dallaras are catching up to the GT3s. They're just throwing it right outside there. And there's not, the track cuts on this track are not overly severe. There are a couple of corners that you do have to be overly conscious of. But the sleeping right-handers out of turn 1 and again back in the back of the track is actually quite free to go around the outside and get off the track. It obviously do lose a little bit of time out there, but it doesn't penalise you too harshly. As we see Sam just shooting around the outside of the Ferrari. And Matt Beattie also looking to make the move. I think that's Jared Eastman in the Deadpool Ferrari. And getting very busy on track at the moment with all the classes buying down on a very similar purchase of the circuit. Going around through turns 10 and 11. Going around back on the start-finish line. Back with Matt Beattie as they climb up over the hill. Looks like Matt's got John Philly right behind him. Jump on now with Damien Mackay as he finds his way past a couple of the GT3s. David Ongo there. in number 54. Damien having a recovery in the Chevrolet. And Damien back to 5th in class. We see Samuel Lambert moving around the outside, the number 8 Dallara. And Daniel having a great challenge now with Capelch. A busy section of track. The rules are quite clear on there. You must give minimum 2 car widths.
That's right, David. That's right.
When overtaking another class of car. And the GT3s are required to remain on the racing line that is up to the faster class. To successfully make the overtake, they've got to go outside into the marbles, or outside off the racing line to get the pass done. You see the Dallara just slide up the inside of the 2 GT3s. You can almost see the different size in the cars there. The Dallara is a very, very small car, smaller than the GT3s and smaller than the GTP. The GTP almost a very similar size in length and width as the GT3s, with the Dallara quite a small, nimble car. Guys, if you're watching the stream, we hope you are enjoying it. We're currently riding on board with Matt Beattie in the... Oh, just jumped over to John Philly as he pulls right up on the back of Matt. John thinking about making a move around the outside, tucks back in behind. The guys will be watching their radars and anticipating when the weather will be coming. For anyone that enjoys iRacing, they say that the in-game spotter is now the option to use over crew chief. They said that it's much better at announcing the weather, but I'm sure that those updates will come and we'll be back to a level par. And the iRacing challenge of a wet track is one that I'm yet to experience myself, being off with an injury, not spending a lot of time in the rig recently. I have missed all of the rain. I'm keen to give it a crack. When I can get back, I've got the GT3 Mustang is my car of choice if I'm able to drive. We see James Lawrence putting the Porsche sideways, and I think that is up into turn 9, looking at that on track. And it looks like he must have done that all by himself. Getting a little overexcited into the braking zone of turn 9. Now back on board with Matt Beattie as John Filligan riding right up on the back of him. And we're also sitting right on the back of Samuel Lambert. Very tight section of track through here. Coming up through the S's down to the back straight. Has he got close enough to take advantage of the slipstream? No. They will all have to tuck in behind again through the horseshoe. And it favours the brave to commit through there. I'm not sure if these guys can do it without a lift. I'm pretty sure they'll have to have a gentle lift through there just to ensure they've got the car stable over those ripple strips on the inside and outside. Coming down around through into the toe now for the boot. And lovely camber on the road there. The car really sticks into that. You can give it almost full throttle on the exit there, and the car just grips up and throws you out on the outside. Coming now down into the hill. Another little tricky braking zone where the camber sort of runs away from you. A little wag of the tail there for Matt Beattie. So far, incident free. There's a few drivers have had a little bit of an incident with themselves. John looking to make the big move down the inside into the braking zone, gets up easily onto the inside, successfully makes the move over Matt Beattie, so he has moved up into 5th position. And John will now be looking at the back of Samuel Lambert in the number 8. And we're riding with these crew at the moment. This is the closest battle on track. I've handed the camera controls over to the Iracing gods to keep us up to date with the closest events on track. The GT3s, looking at the track map, all well spread out. 1 and 2 for class leading of the Dallara P1217s, Tim Hancock and Scott Mackay. Just comfortably sitting within 1 second of each other. It looks like these guys have all settled into the groove. We might just go for a quick run around the track. There is our Honorigus safety car. Scott Mackay sitting off the back of Tim Hancock. And looks like Tim's about to run around the outside of Blake Norman, who has moved up 1 position. So Brendan McVicker is a DNF. Unfortunately, he has been manually disconnected. Okay, so Brendan McVicker has had some issues this evening, and he's had to pull out. That is disappointing. So guys, if you're on the stream and you're enjoying the stream, let me know. We'll try and track down, there's Jared Eastman in the Deadpool livery for the Ferrari. Jared had enjoyable events. The guys driving the GT3 Team Gold for VGA, competed in the Le Mans 24 hour. And Jared was driving with Matt Beattie and Sam. And Shanahan, who's currently leading the GT3 class. Michael Arkler is sitting second. He is now 10 seconds off the back of Gordon McCulloch in the GTP class.
Thank you.
Gordon McCulloch is the leader of the GT3 class. Clump of grass fly up there. I'm not too sure what that was from. Ocean Ferrari, just giving some space to the GTP3 outside. Jump on with Blake Norman in the Porsche. An interesting livery there for Blake in the number 71 Porsche. Unfortunately, he had the disconnect early in the race and had to reconnect. Started from pit lane, but he is gaining at the moment. He was 30 seconds in arrears, and he has managed to make 15 seconds up on a Jared Eastman, so it won't be long before he catches up to the back of the GT3 field. As we see the Dallara sneak down the inside. And also copies a track by the GTP in the class as well. Just jump in the cockpit of the Porsche and go for a lap around Watkins Glen.
Pass left, pass left.
And that is a lap around Watkins Glen. The Porsche, it is amazing in the Porsche. You get to see the undulation of the rises and falls of this track. It's amazing how steep the hills are on here, especially some of the braking zones coming down the hill. And it's a very technical track. I love it. It's one of my favourite tracks on iRacing. And she's been one of my favourite tracks across my sim racing career. It's on most of the titles these days. So if you're watching the stream and want to see a particular driver, let me know. We'll give them some airtime and a bit of a plug. It is Kashi, number 16. Dara. And it looks like we've got Matt Media's made his first pit stop. He's currently on his out lap. Sorry about the break and delay there. I'm just still having some issues with my audio. Thought I just had some volume back on my headphones, but I think. Riding on the board with George at the moment in the number 16, Dallara. And Gordon McCulloch just passing through on him there, leading GTP. Another tight battle going on here at the moment. So Philly's caught up to the back of Samuel Lambert. And Philly will be looking to make the move here, trying to take advantage before the rain settles in. There is a 100% chance of light showers coming very, very soon. We are 30 minutes into the race. There's an hour and 30 to go. With David Unger, he's coming up on the back of the Porsche. That's James Lawrence in the number 12 Porsche there, and then we've also got the Ford for Matt Mitrovic. Again, I apologise, I haven't quite got the pronunciation of that right. Sorry, Matt. Fantastic livery though, mate. The Audi livery for the Ford Mustang. Tim Hancock running in the number 467. He's the leader in class. He's got Scott DePoy right up behind him at the moment. And And after 30 minutes of racing, they would be getting towards the end of their fuel tanks. The cars would be light and nimble now. You should be extracting the most amount out of their cars. So at the moment, these two drivers are doing very similar times, 134.3 and a 134.2. Sam is back out on track. He is reconnected after his disconnection. And the number 55 GT3. 13 laps down, but back out on track. Another good point for iRacing. You can come back in at any stage and rejoin the lobby if you are disconnected. Once you sort out your PC, do a full restart. Just rejoin the lobby at any stage and get back out on track. And we just see Sam there in the number 55 Shambles Ferrari. Just getting out of the way of this battle with Scott Mackay and Tim Hancock. We jump aboard now with John Philly as he moves up around the outside of the GT3s. A very close battle going on at the moment with Matt and James. Matt's done a great job to get that forward up into second class in class. And then we've got Capelch and James. James has managed to get the Capelch and Damien McBay. So Damien managed to get that Chevrolet past the Ferrari. So the Porsche lost a bit of time there shooting around the outside. Might have been a little wall tap there maybe. And Matt trying to make the most advantage out of the slipstream as number 8 Delara moves past. The two GT3s make their way up through the back straight. We're back on now with Tim Hancock and Scott Mackay, the two leading drivers in the class for Delara, separated by 0.2 of a second, so 0.2. And this is when everyone's talking about strategy. Is Scott taking advantage of fuel saving? We just see the Porsche for James Lawrence hanging out sideways around over the curve there. Oh, we've seen the Chevrolet. He's had to do a reset to pits. That was James Lawrence. No, sorry, that was Damien Mackay. Oh, McBay. Currently sitting as a DNF. I'm hoping that means he's just returned to pits and not disconnecting. No, he has manually disconnected. That is disappointing to see. So we have the Chevrolet for Damien McBay. Unfortunately, is a disconnection. I hope everything's all right there. We're boarding on a ride with Scott Mackay. I think Scott is actually fuel saving, sitting off the back here. He doesn't have to push as hard. He can get the full advantage of the slipstream. And he may be able to do the overcut if he can manage to save his fuel. Oh, Tim Hancock gets it out a little bit wide. And this makes me think that Scott is actually fuel saving here. He didn't try to push the overtake. He gave time back to Tim Hancock. He's happy just to sit in the back here at the moment, take advantage of the slipstream. A little less fuel burn, a little less pressure on the tyres. Does not want to be the lead car at this stage. You guys will be watching their radar quite closely now. We're getting very close to the prediction of light showers for this race. That will force all of the drivers back into pit lane for a change over onto wet tyres. They said they can do up to 4 laps depending on the weight of the rain. So light rain, they may be able to get 4 laps on the slick tyres before the slick tyres run out of temperature. But the Dalaras will be getting very, very close to requiring a pit stop. At the moment we've got, so Samuel Lambert doing his pit stop at 20 laps down. I'm not too sure what the actual total lap capacity is for the fuel tank on the GTPs or the Dalaras around here. I'm assuming it would be around about 25 laps. So it would be around about that 40-minute mark would be the limit. The GT3s can go into the hour. They can do close to 35 laps around here, I think. You can see the GT3s at the moment. 18 laps into their stints. And Sam, coming back after his disconnect, has just punched out the fastest lap of the race with a 1:46.1 in the Ferrari. Outstanding pace. And if you want to we're watching the Aussie Endurance Series. This is round 1, season 1. This is a brand new series for iRacing in Australia. It is masking the IMSA series. They will be following the circuits and the events as before through season 3 in IMSA. It looks like that Ferrari has had a little worse for wear. Looks like a little bit of damage on the front of the Ferraris. They're flew past. But a fantastic battle at the moment between Tim Hancock and Scott Mackay. Weaving their way through the traffic. So the number 16 car looks like it is struggling. Maybe a slowdown for the number 16. It was John Cashin. This is the battle at the moment on track. Between first and second in class for the Dallara P217. Let's see if we can't jump on board Scott Mackay. Is it going to do that for us? Yep, let's jump on board and see what Scott's actually looking at through his windscreen. This is the vision of the Cosworth. Down into the boot. Camber of the road just allows you to lean into the accelerator and get on the power as you come out of the toe. Difficult little braking zone down the hill into the hill. You are allowed to go out wide there. And again, difficult braking zone and turning zone. The track wants to camber away from you here. Push you right out towards that outside wall. And then on the power, little lift through there, back on the power. And a lovely camber there. And we're taking the first of the pit stops. So this could be the gamble that said the guys can take the undercut here. He could be looking at the rain, the clouds looking overhead there. Is he going to opt to change over to wet tyres? This will be the question. And if Scott is pitting on lap 23, how many laps can these cars do before they run out of fuel? So many questions that we're yet to find out. So I don't know enough about the high-powered GTPs and Dallaras. They're not my field of car. I'm not used to the ultra downforce and power that these cars have. My brain does not want to let me go into a corner without touching the brake or coming off the accelerator that these cars can do. I much prefer to feel the GT3 move around a little bit beneath me than just throw a car in there and have it stick to the road. As we've also got the number 54 in the pits at the moment. That's David Unger. And looks like the 117. So they all are starting to come through from John McHenry. Back on to Blake Norman in the Porsche as he comes around. He's managed to catch up to the back of Jared Eastman. And he's sitting off the back of Sam by the looks of that, but Sam won't be there for long. The pacer, he's got a 1:45.9. Thank you very much. And there we have, we see the move around the inside. Can he get it to stick? At the moment, no. Jared says, I will not let you pass. Very wide out there. I said there are no track strikes for being wide on the hill. And now we can see the drops of rain coming down. So it has just started to rain on track. Very, very wise move from those Dallara drivers who have taken the option. We can see Tim Hancock is out. Philly's in the pits at the moment. Scott McCoy, David Unger, Dan McCoy, and John McHenry and John Cashin all on their outlaps. And the GT3s are also starting to take their pit stops. We'll stay with Blake at the moment and see what Blake's going to do this lap around. If you were sitting in the GT3 car at the moment, what would be your feel? You know, you've got heat in the tyres, you can get away with 2 or 3 laps of light rain before you start to lose the car. Knowing that you've still got fuel in the tank, it's 1 minute 19, the rain is only going to last for 20 minutes or so. Do you wait for the track to really get wet before you throw on those wet tyres? You don't want to come out onto a reasonably dry track and cook the wets. Again, I haven't had experience in rain and iRacing at the moment. Is there an intermediate wet tyre? I've been told that there's not. This could be a good opportunity to contemplate whether there should be. The GT3s can certainly take advantage. We start to see the spray come up off the back of the cars now. So there is water on the track. It would be getting a little bit slippery out there. Let's jump over onto the Focus to see what's actually going on around the track. Tim Hancock has had his pit stop. John Philly has also had his pit stop. And I'm not too sure what happened to Scott Mackay. Scott's obviously pitted too early. I'm looking at that, having dropped down to 4th position. He's lost a good 16 seconds, but he has just passed. It looks like we've just had a car off track. And I can't see the info underneath my telemetry there. Sorry about that, guys. Something we'll have to work on. Try and get the telemetry up so we can determine when iRacing determines that the track is officially wet. Looks like Blake is struggling now on those slip tyres. About time. I know Blake on the outlap, so Blake has got fresh, cold, wet tyres on. Look at the number 12 Porsche for James Lawrence. And that is Ron Partner coming into pit lane for his first pit stop. Gordon McCulloch also in pit lane at this stage. The two GTPs making their first pit stop on lap 24. Samuel making the big move around the outside of the GT3. And the rain is supposed to last for around about 20 minutes. Interesting to see what strategies are going on here. Who is planning on fuel saving? Who has the skill and the advantage to try and make hay in a wet track? It is a definite skill required to find pace in the wet. And as we've been advised, you stay off the racing line. Get off that rubbered line, get back onto the clear track. Much more grip out there when it's wet. Those rubber up sections of track get very greasy in the wet. Difficult in the braking zones. The guys are all doing well at the moment. We haven't seen anyone hit the wall. We've seen the move of Sam there running around the back of the Ferrari. And that was the 511 or Matt Beattie making a move around John Cashin. And Blake making the move on Kapelsch. Kapelsch just gets into the brakes a little too heavy there, round on the slick part of the track, and the number 10 Ferrari just loses the back of the car. No harm done. Back onto the power and back into the race. Now looking at Scott Mackay. He's currently third on track now in class, after sitting right off the back of Tim Hancock. Oh, that is a very, very sad looking car. Going straight through there. And that has had a big impact with the wall. David Onga would not be happy with himself. So while these guys just roll themselves around, let's see if we can go back to see what happened to David. Oh, a little loose around the outside. Yes, the curves are very, very vicious here. Either way, he's having to work that car. Slight little drift here and there. It's a very twitchy, loose car in the wet. Got to flick off the ripple strips. Done well to get through there. Back of the car just forcing itself down with the downforce through there. Very tricky section through there, and the car just lets go. He's backed off and done well. And outbraked himself again and into the wall. Well, that is disappointing. It shows you how easy it is to misjudge these corners in the wet. And the guys are doing practice this evening for the Watkins Glen 6 Hour, the official iRacing endurance event this weekend. And you're watching the Australian Endurance Series. This is a brand new league, and this is Season 1, Round 1 from Watkins Glen. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Jump out and say g'day. Tell us who you're following. Let us know how I can improve the stream. Running a ball with Matt at the moment in the Audi Ford.
Oh, did I touch it then?
Big
Sorry if I did.
Through there, steps the rear of the car out. You also see Blake in the background with the Porsche looking sideways on the outside of the corner. Looks like things are getting very treacherous out there in the wet.
Oh, good, mate.
And the Ford brand new car for iRacing in Season 3. Yet to be tested in the rain, so good experience for the guys to get a feel for how the car handles in the wet. But it looks like in the background that these clouds could starting to be clear up. Looks like a break in the weather coming. How quickly will this track dry out? Unfortunately, Pesh has disconnected through the packet loss. That's disappointing. We've got Sam on a tow at the moment. Sam's obviously had some issues in the Ferrari. Everyone experiencing issues in the wet. A great experience for this weekend. Scott has moved back up into second place behind Tim Hancock after his pit stops. And the track fully wet now. We can see the spray coming off the back of these cars. Let's jump aboard Matty Shanahan and see what this actually looks like from inside the cockpit. Well, Matt makes the move. So there's the spray coming off the back of Matt's car. Vision not too bad at the moment for Blake. Well, there is a bit of spray there that's manageable. And that's a big throw into the toe. Oh, there goes the rear wing. Tim Hancock throws it up the inside. Big difference between the downforce of the Dallara over the GT3. Big move around the outside in the wet. Manages to get it done. I wasn't sure he was going to get it stopped up there. And in this league, the cars do have one fast repair available to them in their pit stops. So guys, if you're out there watching this race, please
Yeah,
jump in
that
the
looks
chat and say
horrible,
g'day.
Matthew.
Tell us who you're supporting. Let us know what you would like to see.
Hey, you're not wrong.
Or what information you would like to hear. We're talking about the strategies that these drivers could be running through at the moment in the wet. Now looking at how the cars handle. Obviously, there's been some massive updates again in the last couple of days leading up to Season 3. Iracing forever improving their game, making it better for the drivers. It is a fully complete sim. I love it. So Matty Shanahan on the Ferrari, second damage. He has tapped that back into the wall, but doing a great job to hang on to it. He's got Matt right behind him in the Ford. So the Prance and Pony doing a great job here in the wet. Massive amount of horsepower running down to those rear wheels. Front engine rear wheel drive drives very much like the AMG. But what I will do, we will take a look. We'll jump on board with Matt. I want to show you how much vision that this car has out of the windscreen. This is insane. Trying to see the apex of the corners. And I can see that Matt's taken the option to actually raise the seating position, because the original position has you right down in the car, to try and get an angle down to the front of the car to try and see the apex of the corners. And very difficult into here to find the front of the car and get it pointed right into the apex. That bonnet scoop just needs to be a little bit lower. But we'll take you on a lap around Watkins Glen in the new Ford Mustang GT3. Big moment there for Matt. Hanging right outside, coming down through the chute. We'll just need to settle the car down a little bit. The car will feel quite loose after that slide. Tyres need to cool down just a little bit, needs to get their grip back. Another tricky little turn, turn 9. Very greasy on the inside when the track gets wet. Hold it through turn 10. Final turn, turn 11. Try and crisscross and get back to the inside a little bit off that rubber line. There's a lap around Watson's Glen looking through the front windscreen of the new Ford Mustang GT3. And there's a little cluster of cars starting to build up around through the boot. Going around through the horseshoe. And John just slides up the inside of Blake. Well, Michael Hartley gets well out of control.
Oh
Through
no!
there, and a little tap between the Ferrari and the number 117 and John Mackay as well. There is no live stewarding for these races. Everything will be done after the race. There is a process to go through for the guys to report if they want to report an incident. Nothing malicious in any of those. It was just unfortunate racing events. Blake in the Porsche at the moment. The Ferrari is going to limp its way back. Also looking at Scott Mackay with the front of that Ferrari missing. The number 2 Ferrari's also got some damage. That is Kalpesh. Assuming he'll be looking for pit lane. He manages to soldier on, didn't get too much damage out of the contact with the Ferrari. And Kashi at the moment coming up on the back of Jared Eastman in the Deadpool Ferrari. Now you want to see a good amount of clearance between the two cars. No chance of neck code or anything going on. I was giving each a wide berth there. Blake will tuck in behind. Now it looks like Kalpesh is just going to struggle on with that Ferrari, even though he's got a little bit of damage. He's just waiting. Must be very close to this rain coming to an end. Scott Mackay trying to get some time back that he lost in the pits earlier. They're sitting 5 seconds off the back of Tim Hancock, and they were nose to tail when he came into pit row. Ryder went for the undercut, changing over to the wet tyres earlier. Oh, well, one lap earlier, and that lap cost him 5 seconds. Strategy is yet to play out. This rain will end very shortly, and it'll be how quickly this track dries out and the calculations of how far they can get into this race before they can successfully make it home without another stop for fuel. And the guys will be doing their calculations now. How far can they go with only 58 minutes left in this race? Scott Mackay sitting off the back of Tim Hancock. We're now looking with John Cashin as he moves up the inside of the Ferrari. And John, the number 16 Delaray, sitting 7th in class. David Longo unfortunately had to take the tow. He was not able to get that car back to pits after running 2nd in class. And it is a harsh penalty to pay for tapping the wall around this track. But it's been great to see. We haven't seen too many contact between cars. All drivers have been very polite. There's only been a few incidents, and there's been racing incidents where drivers have lost control and then they're basically just a passenger in the vehicle. And now running with Gordon McCulloch. He's the leading car on track, first in class for GTP. And he's got the lead over Michael Artlett, who has unfortunately had to take a pit stop to make 4 repairs. And there is a 3-lap gap between first and second in GTP. And Tim Hancock doing a fantastic job in the Della. Scott Mackay is 1 minute and 27 seconds behind. But still on the lead lap. With Gordon McCulloch as he slides up the inside of the Ferrari. There's the number 10 Ferrari of Kapelsh Desai. And there we go, the Ford doing the big move around the outside. That Ford has definitely got itself gripped up at the moment. Matt Trofimix has really got that Ford Mustang into the groove in this wet. And Blackman just taking it easy in the Porsche. The rear engine car would be feeling a little bit funky at the moment with the amount of moisture that's on this track. Spoke about earlier, it's about the brave around here who was willing to commit. We can start to see water collecting on sections of the track now. That will favour a little bit for the guys that want to run or run a little bit deeper on these wet tyres once this rain finishes. And again, strategy will play a big part in the finish of this race. The guys do not want to have to make another pit stop if they can avoid it. They should be able to have enough fuel. Another 10 minutes and the GTPs and Dellas will be successfully have enough fuel in their tank to be able to make it all the way through to the end of the race. And we are well and truly inside the pit window for the GT3s. They will be able to take full tank of fuel and make it home to the end with the change of tyres when this weather clears up. So if you were driving one of these cars now, what would be going through your mind? What calculations would you be making at the moment? I know I'd certainly be looking at how much fuel I need to take on, making sure that my next pit stop I have the correct set of tyres selected. I do not want to select wet tyres for my next pit stop. I would be checking and double checking everything through. There is a new feature in Iracing pit stops. You can make changes to your wing and you can make changes to your suspension in the pit stop. It does cost you extra seconds in your pit stop, but it is a consideration for the wet. You can add some extra wing for the wet. You can take it off when you come back in for dry tyres. Is it worth the lost time? We could be asking that of Scott Mackay at the moment. Did he make too many changes to his car? What strategy would be the best strategy? We will find out very, very shortly. 53 minutes to go in this race. You're watching the Aussie Endurance Series, a brand new league for iRacing in Australia and New Zealand. This is round 1, season 1, following through with the official IMSA series, racing a 2-hour event at Watkins Glen. We've got light rain at the moment, was expected to clear and the track will be dry for the end of the race. Riding on the board with Tim Hancock at the moment, the leader in the GTP class. sorry, the leader of the Dallara class. Gordon McCulloch has a commanding lead now in the GTP. Excuse me, guys, while I take a break. Let's see if we can pick up the leader of the GT3 cars, James Lawrence, doing a fantastic drive in the Porsche. The monster Porsche at the moment, a 34-second margin over Matt in the Ford Mustang. Jack using the famous livery for 10 HSR. We've seen that livery going around the Nürburgring a few weeks ago, and it will be back out again at Le Mans this weekend, I'm sure. And all the guys doing well in the wet here, negotiating themselves. Successfully going too wide through these corners in the wet. These guys look very, very comfortable in the cars. Let's hope it's not commentator's curse. See Kashi make the move up the inside there, the advantage of the downforce and the extra power in the Dallara over the GT3. And every time I take a car into the wet, I'm hanging out for that little bit of extra downforce, that little bit of extra traction. We see the lead car on track. This is Gordon McCulloch coming through as well. Let's go back and have a look. Damien McBay has rejoined in the Chevrolet. Let's see if we can pick him up. No. 5 cars left in the GT3 class by the looks of that. We have 8 cars, with 7 cars still rotating in the Dallara and both cars in the GTP class. As we said, this is a great experience to get in some practice for the official Watkins Glen 6 Hour this weekend. You can guarantee that that will be a wet event. And the Majors Le Mans 24 Hour was run over the weekend, and fortunately that was a dry event. Everyone was glad to hear that. But Watkins Glen is not known for being dry. And the history of this track, unfortunately, David Ongar we have lost now. He tried to reconnect and he has dropped out again. That is disappointing. There is obviously some connection issues on the back end of this lobby for a few of these drivers. Riding on the board with Sam Lambert. Sam in the number 8 Delaware running in 5th in place. But there is one standout, Tim Hancock at the moment, running 145s in the wet, mind you, very much. That is in standing times. That is the fastest car on track. Let's see what else is happening around the track. Everyone else is pretty well spread out at the moment. We've got 3 and 4 running. John McHenry is having a battle at the moment with Matt Beattie in the back there. The black 5 at 1-1. Scott Mackay make the move up around the outside or the inside of the board. Tim Hancock just puts Scott Mackay down 1 lap. It's an outstanding drive from Tim Hancock. Very masterful drive in the wet. Before the rain came, Tim Hancock and Scott Mackay, there was less than 2 tenths in it. Very close moment then. Tim Hancock coming around the outside of the Porsche. And also Scott Mackay says, thank you very much. I'll go around the outside too, Blake. Horseshoe into the boot. What? Samuel Lambert looks to make the move up the inside of Jared Eastman. And Scott also having a reasonably solid drive, running the 145s in the wet at the moment. Sam Lambert's found a little bit of pace. Where did he pull a 144 from in the wet? Oh, Tim Hancock is in tow. Tim has had an issue. Let's see what Tim... So Tim was leading by over a lap. He got through the Porsche here. Very close moment there with Blake. We did see that he did push it up through. Successfully in and out of the horseshoe. Again, it must be finding the difficulty coming down into the toe. And again, braking zone into the toe. That is a big punch on the wall. Seems to be a very, very similar location, coming down the hill, the camber of the road, running away to the outside. Very, very difficult in the wet. And after praising Tim Hancock on how successful he has been in this race, commentator's curse has struck. Riding aboard at the moment with the number 16 firm Kashi. Keeping the car clean and getting the job done. And Philly wrapping some laps around here, still sitting back in 6th position. We'll jump aboard now with Matt Beattie, runs around the outside. One of the GT3s there, Gordon McCulloch, coming up on the back of John Philly by the looks of that. No, the 467. That's Tim Hancock. Back out on track, still leading with a gap, 36-second margin over Scott Mackay now. Kashi makes a move around the outside. And that's John Filligan off the back of Sam Lambert there. And Scotty Mackay looking off the back of the lead car, the Gordon McCulloch 382 GTP. And looks like he's got Matt Beattie just behind him, 1.2 seconds down the road. Matt Beattie trying to put a lap back on himself at the moment. Scott Mackay struggling a little bit in the wet here, losing a little bit of time. But Scott Mackay, 7.8 seconds. We see the lead of Gordon McCulloch lose it coming through turn 1. And Tim Hancock struggling after his pit stop. Margin now 7.8 seconds. Tim Hancock just making past James Lawrence. That's the Porsche there, the number 12 Porsche. Here's Blake Jared Easton in the Deadpool Ferrari. And Kashi having a little busy moment at the moment, working his way through the GT3s, moves up the inside of Blake. Gets the job done. Here's the brand new Mustang. Matt Beattie getting the job done, moving around the inside of James Lawrence. Back onto the power, 142 that last lap. Guys would have to be doing serious mathematics now. I'm not too sure how much longer the GTPs and the Dalaras, if anyone has not done a pit stop, they could be looking very, very low on fuel at this stage. Scott Mackay last pitted 21 laps ago. 23 laps, 24 laps is about their maximum. So he will have to be running low on fuel. Another 2 or 3 laps in that before his compulsory pit stop to take on fuel. He may not be in the window for this track to dry out enough. He may have to do a compulsory stop to change tyres. Mathematicians will be going hard at it at the moment to try and get their head around how far they can go into this race and how soon this track is going to start to dry out to coincide with their change of tyres and their fuel stop. No concerns with the GT3s. They will be able to run all the way through to this track drying out. You can see the clouds starting to break up in the background. Looks like the rain may have stopped. I can't see any drops in the puddles around the track now. A few cars not using their windscreen wipers. This track should now be on a stage to start drying out. And the GT3s will be so thankful to have the GTPs and Dallaras in this class. They do have the extra downforce to draw more water up off the track and into the air and help dry this track out quicker. It is something that everyone will take note of when they get to Spa in around about 6 weeks' time without having the higher downforce cars. Any rain around the Spa and the temperature of the track is going to make it very, very difficult. It will be very, very slow to dry out. Even having 40 odd GT3 cars wrapping around there, it will not be enough to get the track to dry out quickly in the temperatures that we expect to see at Spa. It does look like the track is starting to dry on some of the racing line around here. The guys might be able to start using a little more of the track, and the guys may have to start considering about getting some moisture into those tyres and try and keep those tyres cool enough to not cook them on the drier track. I'd love to have some extra telemetry right now to know how much fuel these guys have left in their tank. 24 laps it has been for Matt Beattie. Scott Mackay having to do his compulsory pit stop for fuel. I'm thinking Matt Beattie was the next car and he will have to hit in this lap, or within the next lap and a half he would be running on fumes. McCulloch has been fine. He pitted in a couple of laps ago. Michael Artlett is in a tow. He's obviously come adrift around the track. I won't go back and penalise him any further for watching the damage for his car. Running with Samuel Lambert, he's having a great drive today. John Phillies is in that mix as well. They're running 4th and 5th in class on track. So that battle you look there is for position. And it seems like Lakeman's been a very, very busy boy in that GT3 Porsche. Oh, around the outside, and that goes the rear wing off the GTP. And that is the disadvantage of getting too far offline on a wet track. Still a large margin. Michael Artlett still in the tow. Large margin between 1st and 2nd and GTP. Gordon should be able to make it back to pits and get those repairs done. Sam having to fight here and hold off John Philly. Yes, Matt Beattie in the pit now. He's taken his fuel stop. He's going to have to come back out on intermediate wet tyres. They will not be able to successfully get out on this track in dry tyres at this stage. And still 32 minutes to go. The rain has stopped. This track will be drying out. There's a little bit of collective water still sitting around, but it won't take long for these cars to create a dry line. And there's another talking point about iRacing, about the physics of the game, how the dry line comes back, how the water disperses off the circuit under the high downforce cars. Ability to dry out the racing line much quicker than a standard GT3. And that's Scott Mackay making the move around James Lawrence. James having a great drive at the moment. He's got commanding lead on the GT3 class. Jared Eastman's made his pit stop for fuel. And good to see the Capelcia still moving around at the back in the Ferrari, the number 10 Ferrari. Moving up onto the back of the Porsche. This may have actually, what are we? Black Norman is second in class, sees a lap down. Matt just overcooks it coming into that one track. That was coming into the horseshoe. Matt was putting a move on Blake to put Blake a lap down. But inadvertently overcooked it. You see that Scott Mackay moving around the inside there of Jared Eastman and the Deadpool Ferrari. And there's Matt Beattie in the 511 Dunnery. Scott Mackay moving up to the back of Blake Norman there, making the move around the outside through turn 10. And Blake sitting third in class at the moment in GT3. And he has a comfortable margin forward and backward. With 29 minutes to go in this race. It is still up for grabs in the Delaware class. Tim Hancock and Scott Mackay, they are on the same lap. And this track is still very, very greasy and difficult to drive on. We will start to see the dry line appear on this track very soon. The rain has ceased to fall. The lap times are starting to come down slightly. James Lawrence now just dipping in underneath the 2 minutes for the Porsche in the lead of the GT3 class. 144s and 142s in the leads of the Dallara. Excuse me. Repairs for the GTP class. We'll have times up for them very, very shortly. Jim Hancock just moving around the outside of the Mustang there, as well as the number 16. No, don't do that. Kashi just thinking second best there. Survival for the fittest. And just happy to wait this time here. Not going to over push it.
I'm even money to crash before we get there.
A little bit of chat going on between the drivers at the moment. Kashi's got the job done now on Matt. And marches on down the road. But we see Blake Norman now has Jared Easton. There is a lap between these, so Blake has put a lap on Jared. But at the moment it looks like Jared has a little bit of advantage on pace. Good experience for these guys for this weekend for the Watkins Glen 6 hour, the official Aussie endurance. Making up part of the Endurance Cup. And we'll just quickly shout out to VGA Green for their success in the Majors Le Mans 24 hour, finishing third in class in the Dallara. Or DHP if you would prefer to call this title. Blake under a little bit of pressure here as Jared tries to regain a lap back. The guys are doing reasonable times in the wet around here in the GT3. Ferrari just gets the job done on the inside, no, he can't close it in the braking. He tries to do the undercut, switch back on the inside, but doesn't get the traction out of the corner. But he certainly made his intentions clear. He's not happy just to sit off the back of the Porsche. Gary wants to get that Ferrari up forward. He wants to get his lap back. Makes the move in the braking zone into the horseshoe and gets the job done. Blake just backed out of it there, doesn't want to get involved in an argument. He still holds third position on track with only 24 minutes to go. Porsche is in fourth position, so Jared has to complete a full lap to get all the way back around, catch up to the back. And then we have second in class sitting off the back of these guys as well. So in the Mustang there. So these guys are all laps apart. See him having a solid drive here, looking comfortable at the moment in third position. 8 seconds back to John McHenry. And Matt makes the move. over Blake to put Blake a lap down. And he's on the hunt of the Ferrari. It's still commanding lead from James Lawrence in the Porsche for the GT3 class. Last time around, okay, so James Lawrence has completed his pit stop, so that margin would have closed up between first and second in GT3 class. We'll have to wait for this to settle down. It looks like it could be around 45 seconds now. GT3s, we've got Matt and Blake both required to take their pit stops. As we see, Jared just caught up with a slowdown there maybe, had to back right out of that. But Jared has completed the pit stop on that 42. He can run all the way through to the end of this race with his current fuel load. So pit stop strategies are coming into play here. We've got the lead Porsche, James Lawrence, completing his final pit stop. He can run through to the end of this lap with a commanding 42-second margin. Matt and Blake at the moment, they are running for position. Blake being one lap down, but both required to have a pit stop. They will not make it through to the end of this race on their current fuel load. Does look like that Porsche is tracking a little bit of damage on the rear end. But tyre looks like it's just hanging out of the guard a little bit. Could just be graphics on the iRacing side of it. And here we go, the sun has fully come out on this track now. With 20 minutes to go, are the guys going to be able to get these tyres to survive all the way through to the end of the race? Or will this track dry out too quickly? I was expecting that we'd see a good, clean, dry line by now, but still plenty of water sitting on the surface of this track. Most of the puddles have cleared up. There is still a few small puddles around the track, but the majority of the standing water is now gone. So strategy-wise, calculation for fuel, calculation for tyres, watching the clock. We've got leader field in the GTP. Gordon McCulloch successfully 15 laps ahead of Michael Arlett, still under tow into pit lane. The DHP Delaware class, we've got Tim Hancock with a commanding lead at the moment over Scott Mackay. Both having completed their pit stops now, with Samuel Lambert in third. And John McHenry in fourth. And the GT3 class we were just talking about, we've got James Lawrence in a commanding lead in the Porsche at the moment. We've got a very tight section field between Matt Mitrovic and Blake Norman, both having to make their pit stops, both running, getting close to low on fuel.
Sorry, Matt. Hope I didn't do that.
Cars will be feeling loose now. Those
fitting in.
Great stint in the wet. But they've got to make the maths. I think here we go. Matt now heading for pit lane. And a gamble now. If you put wet tyres back on, will the wet tyres survive the last 18 minutes of this race? Will the track dry out too much? All these questions running through the drivers' minds at the moment. And watch Scott Mackay come through into turns 3 and 4 through the S's. And Scott's got John Flanagan just behind the two VGA livery Ballaras, looking fantastic out on track. two drivers are driving for position. They're doing a fantastic job in tow here. All experience for the Watkins Glen 6 Hour coming up this weekend, the official endurance for iRacing series. You're watching the Australian Endurance Series. It is a brand new league on iRacing for Australia and New Zealand. This is round 1, season 1, following the IMSA series. Hope you're enjoying the stream. This is the first time I have ever broadcast for iRacing. It's been a bit of an experience for me. Working out all the cameras and all the angles. Trying to keep track of all the information. Let's jump aboard. Jump aboard Philly if we can. Going to give us to Philly. Jump on to see what it looks like out of the cockpit as he hunts down the back of Scott Mackay. There are a few positions between this. This is riding aboard with Philly. He's looking at he's currently 5th in class on track, and he's looking at the back of the number 72 Scott Mackay Dallera, who is 2nd in class. There is a lap between these two drivers. So John trying to get the lap back and unlap himself before the end of the race. Not much between the pace of these two cars, both running in the 143s at the moment. It looks like there's still maybe a few spots of rain there. The guys could be successful in getting all the way through to the end of this race without the track drying up too much. Did have a burst of clear sky earlier. This is the challenges of the weather engine in iRacing. It is not exactly a pure science. You have to follow the radar on the day. And I could try and bring the weather up for you, but it's hidden behind our telemetry up here. Sorry about that, guys. Brad Cooper's come back to join us after an early disconnect. John just falling off the back a little bit at the moment. He gets the draft and gets the break up here coming into the horseshoe. Then can't maintain. It does look like through there the track is starting to dry out. Doesn't look as wet as the track around the back section. Still just a few puddles sitting up on the ripple strips there. But now 14 minutes to go in this race, 2-hour endurance race for season 1, round 1 of the Australian Endurance Series. Hope you've been enjoying the broadcast. Riding with the closest battle on track at the moment. Between Scott Mackay running 2nd in class and John Philly. Jumped on with John Henry as he catches up to the leading GT3 car, James Lawrence in the number 12 Porsche. Giving each other plenty of space through there. Coming up into the horseshoe. And Sam Lambert has dropped a position to John Philly in his pit stop. So Philly moves up to 4th position now. And he's 5 seconds off the back of John McHenry. So Philly could be eyeing off. No, we've had a readjustment there. Sorry, 23 seconds between. timing counter is a little bit inconsistent at the moment. I do apologise for that, guys and girls, if you're watching. Matt Beattie having a great drive. Sam Lambert just being consistent. He's obviously 216 because he has completed his pit stop, so he's waiting for the temperature to come up in his tyres. And Blake Norman will have to pit this lap. He is 31 laps out on this stint. 33 laps is maximum. He would have to be maximum fuel saving if he expected to make that all the way through to the end of this race without a stop for splash and dash. But he does have a comfortable margin at the moment over Blake Norman, over Jared Easton, sorry. So there is more than a lap between third and fourth place on track after Jared makes his pit stop. So the GT3 class is pretty well set at this stage if the guys can just keep it clean and be consistent. So Michael Hackler has completed his repairs and he is back out on track. So we have first and second for the GTP class. Unfortunately, commentator's curse, so it looks like that vehicle is again under tow. And we have a commanding drive from Tim Hancock in the DHP number 467. And we're looking at Sam Lambert in the number 8, sitting on the back of Gordon McCulloch. The number 382 GTP, the red and black car in front there. Tim Hancock has been the most consistent car along with Gordon McCulloch and James Lawrence. Commanding drive by the three leading class drivers. Been fantastic for them this evening. And I hope all the drivers have enjoyed their first night of the Australian Endurance Series. We're now coming down to 10 minutes to go. And Blake Norman is still pushing that Porsche. 32 laps since his last pit stop. 33 laps is generally the benchmark, and the Porsche is normally on the good end of the fuel run, but I can't see that he is going to successfully put down another 5 laps before having to require a splash and dash. All the drivers have been well behaved this evening. There's not much contact between the cars. They've all pretty well had minor issues in controlling their cars with the changes in weather conditions, which is what this series is all about. The experience in getting it together, understanding the physics of iRacing as much as it is as close to reality as possible. You still can't replicate the sensation of the car moving around underneath you unless you go for the full motion rig. In a fixed sim rig, some of these guys running off of steering wheels on coffee tables, it does make it difficult to really understand the physics of the car. So it is a great effort from all of these drivers. Keeping it clean, the biggest error during this race has been the braking down into the toe, coming downhill and into the turnoff in the wet track has been the biggest error for most of the drivers this evening, and we can start to see the dry line appear on this track. I hope you've been enjoying the stream. This is the first time we see a big dive go through. Under braking there, lucky that they missed the other two cars on track. And Philly's made himself up into third position. it has dropped back at some stage through there. We missed that. So there's Sam there. He's not far behind, but only 5 seconds off the back of Philly. But yeah, a good second fast that last lap. We can see the track really starts to dry out now. These wet tyres should survive through the end of this race. There shouldn't be too many concerns from these drivers. If this track had dried out another 10-15 minutes ago, then they would have had to have been that splash and dash to come into the pits. Quick set of new slick tyres, but the track should stay wet enough for the guys to run home. Approximately 3 laps left now with only 6.5 minutes to go. Now the number 12 Porsche James Lawrence, the leading GT3 car Porsche on track. He's a full lap up over Matt in the Ford Mustang. Great to see the Ford up there in the positions at the pointy end. So Porsche, Ford, Porsche in the GT3 class. The Ferraris filling up the back of the grid with the Chevrolet Corvette. Unfortunately, a few disconnects there this evening. We hope everybody's okay out there. Running on board with Tim Hancock, the leading DHP commanding drive from Tim. Almost a full lap margin over Scott Mackay. It was nose to tail. There was less than half a second between Tim Hancock and Scott Mackay prior to the pit stop cycle when the rain started to come. But the rain has certainly sorted out this grid. The track's starting to dry now. The guys can start to choose some different lines. They'll have to try and keep some moisture in those wet weather tyres. Don't want them drying out too much and cooking them. That is another physics of this game, iRacing. It's easy to overheat those wet weather tyres. Making the extra difficult to try and control the car on hot tyres in iRacing. But the clock is counting down towards the end. This has been 2 hours of racing, the inaugural Australian Endurance Series. Round 1, Season 1, Watkins Glen. How good can it get? It's almost incredible. Unless you want to take this race onto Spa or one of those other iconic circuits, this is as good as it gets in multi-class racing. So we are looking for position here. So this is John Philly with Sam sitting right behind in the number 8. So they are third and fourth. They're fighting for third place in the DHP class. It's looking like their Falcon may have a little bit of damage to the front end. Looks like it's still travelling around okay though. But the Mustang has tagged the wall somewhere by the looks of that. And we've also got Calpesh rolling around in the number 10 Ferrari. Great to see, even 6 laps down. It's all about finishing these events. It's all about the experience and churning them out. If you've had some disadvantages, if you've had some disappointments, it doesn't mean that you need to give up the race. You just keep putting the laps in, keep getting the experience. It's what it's all about. And the number 117 for John McHenry easily weaves his way through the GT3 class there. And I can say that Now, Pasha's looking like a little bit of extra damage on the front of that Ferrari as well. It's not looking as clean as it did when it started the race. The battle for a third position here for the DHP class. John and Sam going hard at it. Sam's managed to find pace in these last few laps as the track started to dry out. John had the pace in the wet. It looks like Sam may have the pace as the track dries. This could still be up for grabs at this stage. Very difficult time to be racing. There's dry line, wet line. It's easy to get it wrong. It's easy to cook the wet tyres. You've just got to be patient with getting your power back on. You don't want to spin those rear wheels too much. There's the number 1 DHP on track, Tim Hancock. 467 has looked like a winning car this whole race. Back with Philly in the battle now for the final podium step in the DHP class. Well, both cars are getting faster as Samuel's just got that little extra advantage of having the slipstream. Another half a second faster over John that last lap. Time is running out. The clock has down less than 60 seconds to go. Sam will be pushing as hard as he can now. He's going to have to risk it. He's got a margin. 6-second margin back to Sam, so it is a very, very risky gamble here. Throw it in and try and get onto the podium, or run the risk of losing the car and dropping another spot. Are you going to be happy with 4th position? As long as you enjoy the battle. And we should see the white flag come out the next time round for the lead cars. No, the race is over. We should be seeing the checkered flag. This is the final lap for these cars. Scott has less than 4 kilometres to make the move over Philly. Can he get it done? It doesn't look like he's close enough at this stage. He's throwing everything at it. Tyres right on the outside of the ripple strip there in the grass. Didn't lose too much time, but he doesn't want to get too wide. Bunnies of the slipstream coming down to the hill. Getting the power down. Philly's gone wide to take advantage there. He's tried to sneak up the inside. Philly's blocked him off.